Hi. So I'm a bit shell-shocked. It's every time I see it, it still kind of blows me away. And I'm just astonished by the courage of and the eloquence of the guys and their mums and their wives and families. So it's been an extraordinary journey for us all.
Is there anybody you'd like to bring to the stage now?
I'd like to bring James and Wade up.
Dan, I want to start with you. Can you just talk a little bit about the genesis of the project, how you came to know their story, and how you got them involved with the project, and where that all happened?
I was having a very, I've never made a film involving a show business figure before. It's not really my area. I work on terrorism, crime, and war. But we were thinking, I was talking to someone at Channel 4 in the UK, and we were thinking, what are the big stories that haven't really been answered, the big questions that haven't been answered, and you mentioned the Michael Jackson story, and so we started doing a little bit of research, and I came across a reference in one of the forums to a court case that was being held by Wade and James, and I thought that's strange, I didn't know about this, and this might mean that for the first time, someone might be able to tell the story of what actually happened, and so I kind of stumbled across it really, and then about a year later, I found myself sitting in front of them with the camera, and then this extraordinary story began.
And so when you did find yourself sitting in front of them with a camera, knowing that you're about to ask them very sensitive personal questions about their experiences, how did you prepare yourself for that, and how did you prepare them for, that interview process?
I said, look, because both of them had spoken to lawyers and had spoken to therapists, and I said, look, you're speaking to the person in the street, the ordinary person, and just speak the story in the simplest way you can, in the most honest way you can. Don't worry about anything, any contradictions in it, any contradictory feelings you might have, just tell it like it is, and that's what they both extraordinarily did. Over several days, I interviewed Wade for 3 days, James for 2 days, and we did pick up interviews afterwards. And it just came out, and I was blown away, and immediately I knew we had something very big, and then I wanted to interview the mothers, because for me they were the key to the whole story.
And so for Wade and James, I think, thank you for being courageous enough to tell the story, absolutely, I think everybody in here feels that way too. You guys hadn't really met except in passing before this week, right? Is that?
Yeah, they kept us apart for legal reasons, of course. So we met once or twice as little kids, but once the court case started, we couldn't really talk to each other.
And so, what's it like being here now? Able to kind of, is it a difficult experience? Is it something that you can talk about personally between yourselves, or? Does the film just speak for itself?
Yeah, first in relation to being able to be with James, it's just been incredible. It's like we talked about in the film, it can be so isolating. And it was all that we both wanted, for the last however long it's been, 6 years or so, was just to talk, to communicate, and so to be able to be together now, it's just amazing. It's beautiful.
What kind of brought me into the court case was just wanting to talk to Wade, and then, ironically, that's the one that I couldn't end up doing. So this is a long time coming, and just connecting with somebody that's been through this. It's amazing.
And I think I think a lot of people might have the question, were you kind of like what's in it for you to tell the story now, and were you ever offered any like compensation by the production to participate, or what are you gaining from this personally other than just getting the story out there for people to know?
Yeah, from the get-go, there was no money, ever offered, or we never expected anything. So this was really just trying to tell the story and shine light on it, and the same way, knowing that Wade went through it, we could give other people that same connection and comfort that we've gone through something like this. That's the point.
Yeah, I think that's what I and what we have been looking for, and that was the goal of deciding to try the case route, was just looking for a platform to be able to tell the truth. And that's had all of its twists and turns, and it's still in the process, and it's going to be whatever it's going to be. This film was nothing that we ever thought about, nothing we sought out, and as Dan said, we stumbled about it and came to us and individually. And once, for me, sitting down with Dan the first time and trying to get a sense of, can I trust this guy, especially having such a history with press and being scared of that, and what's his angle, and but really getting a sense of Dan's integrity and his intention for just telling the story simply, and just giving us that moment. And for that reason, it's like, we can't change what happened to us. Yeah. And we can't do anything particularly about stopping Michael. I mean, he's dead. It's like, that's gone, right? What happened, happened. So the feeling is now, what can we do with it now? How can we use this platform to tell the story, and hopefully it helps other survivors feel less isolated and something they can relate to, and validates their story. And then, one of my greatest hopes too is just raising awareness for parents, for teachers, for business leaders, anybody responsible for children, to try and prevent this from happening as much as possible.
And I think, a lot of what Dan's intention was, that comes across as very powerful in the film, was not making it a story about Michael or necessarily just you guys, but kind of about your shared family experiences. How it affected your parents and your siblings and, your wives and so on and so forth. Have they seen any part of the project, and what is your relationship like with them now, as a result of this? Like, after they finally, find out your truths, how does that change? I mean, I know we got a lot of that in the film, but where does that stand now?
Yeah, so with my mom, so after my mom saw it, and I think she was looking for forgiveness in the film, but I didn't quite give it to her, and I think that it was hurtful for her. But what I think she needs to understand is that forgiveness isn't the line you cross. It's a road you take, and I'm on that road, and it'll mean so much more when it's fully developed. So.
Yeah, my mother and my sister and my brother have seen the film, and independently my mother watched it by herself, and my brother and sister watched it by themselves, and I was really scared for my mother to see it. I saw it just hours before her for the first time. I was scared for, just things that I said, things that I didn't say, things that my brother said, and that have never, been really communicated just within our family dynamic. So I think it was a pretty intense experience for them. My hope is that it's not the usual way that new doors for healing open up in a family by things being said in a film, and it's going to go out all over the world. She's like, okay, so that's how Shane thinks, But hopefully that you know, it can open new doors for healing within our family. That's my hope. But it's intentional, but they've been amazingly supportive, and they feel that this is an important story to tell.
I think that at what point did this story become, maybe from the very beginning it was a story about Wade and James and their experiences. Did you ever consider interviewing other people that might have, had a different story to tell, or, people related to, the Jackson camp or family or estate or any other, victims?
Jules Cornell, the editor, is sitting here, and as he started putting the film together, we realized that really this was a story that made sense only if you could understand the relationships within the family, and only if you could understand how Wade and James' journey through the eyes of their mother, through the eyes of their brothers and sisters, because it's such a strange story. They didn't say anything for years and years. Why not? People who don't really know much about child sexual abuse find it astonishing that Wade would stand up in court and say nothing happened in 2005. And that's why this film became 4 hours instead of the sort of 2 hours we originally envisaged, because it's a story that you have to follow from the beginning. It's a thread you have to weave across 2 decades in order to get to the end, understanding what actually happened, because it is so potentially confusing. And I did do a huge amount of research into the 1993 and 2003-5 cases with Geordie Chandler and Gavin Arviza, and I interviewed prosecutors, and there were some great interviews in there. But in the end, I decided, well, we have the story through the eyes of these men now, and it's so compelling and so immersive that we simply didn't need. I didn't think, maybe that's for another movie, but this time I just decided to keep it in the family.
I think we have a couple time for a couple of questions from the audience. Right down there.
Just wanted to say thanks. I had a guy stick his hand down my pants when I was in scout camp. And I went through people not believing me and telling my mom. I think the three of you and everybody behind this film are going to do a lot more good in the world. And Michael fucking Jackson, even if I just had to say thanks. Thank you.
In the back there? You? Yep.
There are fans of Mr. Jackson who don't believe your story, or perhaps don't want to believe it. I think it's hard not to after seeing the film, but what is there anything that you feel that you can say to them to make them see the film and to at least hear this story out?
I don't feel like there's anything that I need to say to them, except that I understand that it's really hard for them to believe. Because in a way, not that long ago, I was in the same position they were. Even though it happened to me, I still couldn't believe it. And I still couldn't believe that what Michael did was a bad thing. Up until, whatever it was that I disclosed 6 years ago. So I understand. And I don't know, we can only accept and understand something when we're ready. And maybe we'll never be ready, maybe we won't. So that's their journey.
Right down here.
I'm a trial lawyer, and I just want to say thank you too. I've represented lots of people who've been sexually abused. The biggest problem, and it's brought out in film, is the statute of limitations. There are thousands of children who've been abused like you guys said. I've heard their stories. I can't bring a lawsuit. I can't change anything. But your story is going to help I come from Pennsylvania. If you know anything about what's been happening in Pennsylvania, the Attorney General has brought an action against the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church has abused hundreds of thousands of kids. The Boy Scouts of America have abused thousands and thousands of kids. The LDS Church has abused thousands and thousands of kids. I know it because I've heard their story. This movie and your story is going to help change the law in this country. From my standpoint, thank you very much.
That's about all we have time for. Thank you guys for coming out. Really appreciate it. Thanks.